When Marcus Chen saw Derek Williamson's name on Elon Musk's passenger list that Tuesday morning, he refused to fly. Derek was the drunk driver who killed Marcus's 8-year-old daughter, Luna, 5 years ago. But Marcus didn't know the shocking truth. Derek had been carrying Luna's picture every day since the accident. He had spent 5 years helping sick children at hospitals, giving them model rockets, and telling them about a brave little girl who loved space. Derek had written over 1,800 letters to Marcus, letters he never sent because he thought he didn't deserve forgiveness. Now, a dying 6-year-old boy in Denver needed the doctor on this plane to save his life. Marcus faced an impossible choice: stay angry and let an innocent child die, or get on the plane with his worst enemy. What would you do if you discovered the person you hate most has been honoring your child's memory every single day? And what happens when two broken men realize that sometimes the most shocking meetings are exactly what their hearts need to heal? The sun was just peeking over the Texas hills when Marcus Chen walked across the empty runway. His black pilot shoes clicked. On the smooth concrete, the morning air was cool and fresh. It felt like any other Tuesday morning at the private airfield outside Austin. Marcus loved these early hours. The world was quiet. The sky was clear. His plane waited for him like an old friend. He stopped in front of the sleek white Gulfstream jet. The letters on the side read SpaceX. This was Elon Musk's personal plane. Marcus had been flying it for 3 years now. He knew every button, every sound, every small detail. "Morning, Marcus," called out Tom, the ground crew chief. His voice echoed across the empty runway. "Beautiful day for flying," Marcus waved back. "Sure is, Tom. Fuel her up good. We've got a long trip to Denver today." Marcus walked around the plane. He checked the engines. He looked at the tires. He tested the lights. This was his routine. He had done it thousands of times. A good pilot always checked everything twice. The plane was perfect, clean and ready to fly. Marcus climbed up the stairs into the cabin. The inside was fancy: leather seats, polished wood, big windows. This was how rich people traveled. But Marcus didn't care about fancy things. He just loved to fly his co-pilot. Sarah Rodriguez was already inside. She was young and smart. She had been flying with Marcus for 2 years. She was like the daughter he never had anymore. "Morning, Captain," Sarah said with a smile. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun. Her uniform was crisp and clean. "I've got the weather report. Clear skies all the way to Denver." "That's what I like to hear," Marcus said. He sat down. In the pilot's seat, the familiar controls felt good under his hands. Flying was the only thing that made him feel alive these days. Sarah handed him a cup of coffee. It was black and strong, just how he liked it. "The passengers should be here in about an hour," she said. Marcus nodded. He sipped his coffee and looked out the window. The sun was getting brighter. Soon the runway would be busy with planes taking off and landing. But for now, it was just him and Sarah and the peaceful morning. He opened his flight bag and pulled out his checklist. Even after 20 years of flying, he still used a checklist. Safety first. Always safety first. "Oh, I almost forgot," Sarah said. She reached into her bag and pulled out a white paper. "Here's the passenger list for today." Marcus took the paper without looking at it. He was busy checking the radio. "How many passengers?" he asked. "Just for today," Sarah said. "Mr. Musk, of course, plus 3 others. Should be a quiet flight." Marcus finished checking the radio. Everything was working perfectly. He picked up the passenger list and glanced at it. The first name was Elon Musk. No surprise there. The second name was Dr. Alina Vasquez. He didn't know her. The third name was James Okafor, another stranger. Then he saw the fourth name, Derek Williamson. The paper slipped from Marcus's hands. It fluttered to the floor like a dying bird. His coffee cup began to shake in his other hand. Coffee spilled on his clean white shirt. Derek Williamson. The name hit him like a punch to the stomach. His heart began to race. His hands started to sweat. The cabin suddenly felt too small, too hot. Marcus Sarah's voice sounded far away. "Are you okay? You look pale." Marcus couldn't speak. He couldn't breathe. That name, that terrible name, he hadn't seen it in 5 years. He had hoped he would never see it again. Derek Williamson, the drunk driver who killed his daughter. Marcus bent down and picked up the paper with shaking hands. He read the name again. Maybe he was wrong. Maybe it was a different Derek Williamson. There had to be lots of people with that name. But deep in his heart, he knew it was him. The same Derek Williamson who had stumbled out of a bar 5 years ago. The same Derek Williamson who had gotten behind the wheel of his car. The same Derek Williamson who had hit his little girl Luna while she was riding her bike home. Luna, his sweet, beautiful Luna, 8 years old, she loved space and rockets and dreams of flying to the stars. She had been wearing her favorite NASA t-shirt that night, the one Marcus had bought her for her birthday. "Marcus, what's wrong?" Sarah asked. She put her hand on his shoulder. "You're scaring me?" Marcus stood up quickly. The chair rolled backward and hit the wall. His coffee cup fell to the floor. Brown liquid spread across the white carpet. "I can't do this," he said. His voice was barely a whisper. "Can't do what?" Sarah asked. Marcus pointed at the passenger list. "Him, that man, Derek Williamson. I can't. I one single quotes, ... He couldn't finish the sentence. The words were stuck in his throat. How could he explain? How could he tell Sarah that one of their passengers was the man who destroyed his life? Marcus pushed past Sarah and headed for the cabin door. He had to get off the plane. He had to get away from that name, that memory, that pain. "Marcus, wait!" Sarah called after him. "Where are you going?" But Marcus was already running down the stairs. His pilot's hat fell off his head. His tie came loose. He didn't care. He just had to get away. He ran across the runway toward the terminal building. Tom, the ground crew chief, stared at him in confusion. "Captain Chen," Tom called out. "Is everything okay?" Marcus didn't answer. He burst through the glass doors of the terminal. The cool morning air hit his face. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands. He dialed his supervisor's number. Jim Peterson had been his boss for 3 years. Jim was a good man. He would understand. "Jim, it's Marcus," he said when Jim answered. "I can't fly today. You need to find another pilot." "What?" Jim's voice was sharp with surprise. "Marcus, what are you talking about? You're scheduled to fly Mr. Musk to Denver in an hour." "I know," Marcus said, "but I can't do it. I'm sorry, Jim. I just can't. Are you sick? What's going on?" Marcus closed his eyes. How could he explain 5 years of pain in a phone call? How could he tell Jim about Luna, about the accident, about the nights he couldn't sleep because he kept seeing her face? "There's someone on that plane," Marcus said quietly. "Someone I can't be around. Someone who ... who hurt my family." Jim was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Marcus, you're one of my best pilots. If you say you can't fly, then you can't fly. I'll find someone else." "Thank you," Marcus whispered. He hung up the phone and sat down on a bench outside the terminal. The sun was higher now. The morning was getting warm. In the distance, he could see Sarah standing by the plane. She looked confused and worried. Marcus put his head in his hands. He hadn't thought about Luna this much in months. He had been doing better. The grief counselor had helped him. He had learned to live with the pain. But seeing that name brought it all back. The phone call from the hospital, the 3 days Luna spent in a coma. The moment the machine stopped beeping and the room went quiet forever, Derek Williamson had stolen his daughter's life. And now, 5 years later, he was supposed to fly that man to Denver. He was supposed to sit in the cockpit and be professional, while the man who killed Luna sat just a few feet away. No, he couldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Marcus looked up at the clear blue sky. Luna had loved the sky. She used to point at airplanes and ask him to take her flying. "Someday, Daddy," he would tell her. "When you're bigger," but someday never came. Luna would never see the world from above the clouds. She would never feel the magic of flight. Derek Williamson had made sure of that. A black car pulled up to the terminal. Marcus recognized it immediately. It was Elon Musk's car. The richest man in the world was arriving for his flight. Marcus stood up and walked back toward the terminal. He didn't know what he was going to do. He didn't know how he was going to explain this to Mr. Musk. All he knew was that he couldn't get on that plane. Not with Derek Williamson, not with the man who killed his little girl. As Marcus watched Elon Musk step out of his car and check his expensive watch, he realized something. Some journeys end not where we expected to land, but exactly where we needed to be. But this journey was over before it even began. Derek Williamson sat in the VIP lounge, staring at his hands. They were shaking. They had been shaking for 5 years now. Not from drinking. He hadn't touched alcohol since that terrible night. They shook from something else, something deeper. Guilt. The leather chair was soft and expensive. The room was quiet and clean. Through the big windows, Derek could see the runway where his plane waited, but he didn't feel comfortable. He never felt comfortable anymore. Derek pulled out a worn leather journal from his briefcase. The cover was scratched and faded. He had carried it everywhere for 5 years. Every day, he wrote in it. Every single day. He opened to a fresh page and wrote the date at the top, June 17th, 2025. Then he began to write, just like he had done 1,826 times before, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Chen," he wrote in careful handwriting. "Today I am flying to Denver. I am going to make a donation to help sick children. I wish I could tell you about it. I wish I could tell you that everything I do now is because of Luna." Derek stopped writing. His eyes filled with tears. He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small photograph. It was a school picture of a little girl with bright eyes and a big smile. She was wearing a NASA t-shirt. Her name was Luna Chen. He didn't know why he carried her picture. Maybe it helped him remember. Maybe it helped him never forget what he had done. The police had shown him this picture during his trial. "This is who you killed," the lawyer had said. "This is the little girl who will never grow up." Derek had asked for a copy of the picture. He had kept it with him every day since then. He looked at Luna's smiling face and whispered, "I'm sorry, little one. I'm so sorry." Derek's mind went back to that awful night 5 years ago. He had been a different person then. A successful marketing manager. Good job, nice apartment, expensive car. But inside, he was falling apart. His wife had left him 6 months earlier. She took their dog and half of everything he owned. Derek started drinking to forget the loneliness. 1 drink became 2, 2 became 4. 4 became too many to count. Night, Derek had been at Murphy's bar downtown. It was his 3rd bar of the evening. He was angry and drunk and stupid. His friends had tried to take his keys. "Call a cab," they said. "Don't drive tonight." But Derek was too proud to listen, too drunk to think clearly. He stumbled to his car and started driving home. He remembered the rain, the windshield wipers making a steady beat, the radio playing some sad song. He remembered feeling sorry for himself, thinking about his ex-wife, thinking about how unfair life was. He didn't remember hitting Luna. The first thing he remembered after that was waking up in a hospital bed. A police officer was sitting in a chair next to him. The officer had kind eyes but a serious face. "Mr. Williamson," the officer had said quietly, "we need to talk." That's when Derek learned what he had done. A little girl on a bicycle, 8 years old, riding home from a friend's house. She had been wearing a helmet, which saved her life at first, but the internal injuries were too severe. Luna Chen died 3 days later. Derek closed his eyes and tried to push the memories away, but they always came back. They visited him every night in his dreams, every morning when he woke up, every time he saw a child on a bicycle. After the accident, Derek's life changed completely. He spent 18 months in prison, not long enough. He thought he should have gotten more time. Luna's parents thought so too. He had seen the anger in their eyes during the trial. When Derek got out of prison, he was a different man. He sold his apartment and his car. He gave most of his money away. He stopped drinking completely. He started going to AA meetings every day, but most importantly, he started trying to make things right. Derek couldn't bring Luna back. Nothing would ever change that, but he could try to honor her memory. He could try to save other children. He could try to make sure his terrible mistake led to something good. For 5 years, Derek had been volunteering at children's hospitals. He read stories to sick kids. He sat with families when they were scared. He brought toys and games and hope. He also donated money, lots of money. When his parents died last year, they left him $2.3 million. Derek didn't feel like he deserved it, so he decided to give it all away, every penny, to help children who were sick or hurt or scared. That's why he was flying to Denver today. The Children's Cancer Research Center was expecting his donation. It would be the biggest gift they had ever received. They were going to use it to build a new wing for their hospital. Derek had asked for only one thing. He wanted the new wing to be named after a little girl who loved space. He didn't tell them Luna's name. That wasn't his right to share. But he wanted her memory to live on somehow. Derek looked at his watch. The flight should be leaving soon. He picked up his pen and continued writing his letter. The doctors in Denver are going to use my donation to help sick children. Maybe some of them love space like Luna did. Maybe some of them dream of being astronauts. I hope the money will help their dreams come true. Derek had written over 1,800 letters to Luna's parents. He had never sent a single one. How could he? What right did he have to contact them? What could he possibly say that would matter? Sorry wasn't enough. Sorry would never be enough. But Derek kept writing anyway. It helped him remember why he was trying so hard to change. It helped him remember that his actions had consequences, real consequences. A little girl was gone forever because of his choices. Derek heard an announcement over the loudspeaker. Attention passengers. Flight 247 to Denver has been delayed. We will update you shortly. Delayed. Derek looked out the window at his plane. He could see people standing around it. They looked worried or confused. One man in a pilot's uniform was walking away from the plane very quickly. That was strange. Derek had flown many times in the past 5 years. Flights were usually on time, especially private flights like this one. Derek closed his journal and put Luna's picture back in his pocket. He stood up and walked to the window for a better look. The pilot, who had been walking away, was now talking on his phone. Even from this distance, Derek could see that the man looked upset. Very upset. Derek wondered what was wrong. Was there a problem with the plane? Was someone sick? He hoped everything was okay. He needed to get to Denver today. The doctors were waiting for him. The donation ceremony was scheduled for this afternoon. But more than that, Derek needed this trip for himself. For 5 years, he had been building up to this moment. Giving away his inheritance was the biggest thing he had ever done to honor Luna's memory. It felt like the right thing to do. Maybe the only thing he could do. Derek sat back down and opened his journal again. He wrote one more line. I hope someday I will be brave enough to find you and apologize in person. Not because I expect forgiveness. I don't deserve that. But because you deserve to know that Luna changed my life. You deserve to know that I think about her every single day. Derek closed the journal and held it tight against his chest. Outside the window, the pilot was still on his phone. The man's shoulders were shaking like he was crying. Derek felt a chill run down his spine. Something was very wrong, but he had no idea that his past was about to catch up with him in the most unexpected way. He had no idea that the crying pilot was Marcus Chen, Luna's father. Elon Musk stepped out of his black Tesla and looked at his watch. He was never late. Time was too important. Every minute mattered when you were trying to change the world. But today, something was wrong. His plane should have been ready by now. The engines should have been running. His pilot, Marcus Chen, should have been waiting at the bottom of the stairs with his usual professional smile. Instead, Elon saw confusion. Ground crew members stood around looking puzzled. His co-pilot, Sarah, was standing by the plane talking on her radio. She looked worried. What's the situation? Elon asked Tom, the ground crew chief. Tom scratched his head. Not sure, Mr. Musk. Captain Chen just ran off about 20 minutes ago. Said he couldn't fly today. Left his co-pilot pretty confused. Elon frowned. In 3 years of flying with Marcus, this had never happened. Marcus was reliable, professional. He was the kind of pilot who checked everything twice and never took risks. Where did he go? Elon asked. Tom pointed toward the terminal building. That way he was on his phone talking to someone. Looked pretty upset. Elon walked toward the plane. Sarah saw him coming and hurried over. Mr. Musk, she said, I'm sorry. About the delay, we're trying to find a replacement pilot right now. What happened to Marcus? Sarah shook her head. I don't know. 1 minute he was fine, checking his flight plan. The next minute he looked at the passenger list and just ... lost it. He ran off the plane like something was chasing him. The passenger list, Elon's mind started working. He was good at solving problems. It's what made him successful. What was on the passenger list that upset him? Just the 4 names, Sarah said. You, Dr. Vasquez, James Okafor, and Derek Williamson. I don't understand why any of those names would... She stopped talking. Her eyes went wide. What? Elon asked. Derek Williamson, Sarah said slowly. I remember now, about 2 years ago, Marcus mentioned something about a drunk driver. someone who killed his daughter. But I never knew the name. Elon felt a chill. He was starting to understand. You think Derek Williamson is the man who killed Marcus's daughter? It would explain everything, Sarah said. Marcus doesn't talk about his daughter much, but when he does, you can see the pain in his eyes. If he just found out he was supposed to fly the man who killed her. Elon looked toward the terminal. He could see a man in a pilot's uniform sitting on a bench outside. The man's head was in his hands. Even from this distance, Elon could see that he was in pain. This was not a normal business problem. Elon dealt with rockets and cars and computers. He could fix technical problems, but this was about human hearts, about loss and grief and pain that went deeper than any machine. Elon thought about his own children. He had 5 boys. The idea of losing one of them made his chest tight. He couldn't imagine the pain Marcus must be feeling. But Elon also thought about his passengers. This wasn't just any flight. These weren't just random business people going to meetings. Dr. Elena Vasquez was a pediatric surgeon. She was flying to Denver to perform emergency surgery on a 6-year-old boy. The boy had been in a car accident 3 days ago. His parents had called every hospital in Texas looking for help. Dr. Vasquez was their last hope. If she didn't get to Denver in the next few hours, the boy might die. James Okafor was 18 years old. He had invented a new way to clean dirty water. His invention could help millions of people in Africa have safe drinking water. Today, James was supposed to meet with investors who could fund his project. This meeting had taken months to arrange, and Derek Williamson, Elon didn't know much about him. His assistant had arranged Derek's seat on the flight. Something about a large donation to a children's hospital. Derek was supposed to give $2.3 million to help sick kids, 3 passengers, 3 important missions, a doctor trying to save a child's life, a young inventor trying to help millions of people, a man trying to help sick children, and 1 pilot who couldn't bear to be on the same plane as one of those passengers. Elon made a decision. Instead of just finding a new pilot, he was going to understand what was happening. He was going to talk. To Marcus Chen, Elon walked across the runway toward the terminal. His expensive shoes clicked on the concrete. The morning sun was getting warmer. In a few hours, it would be hot. He found Marcus sitting on the bench, staring at the ground. Up close, Elon could see that Marcus had been crying. His eyes were red. His pilot's uniform was wrinkled. "Marcus," Elon said quietly. Marcus looked up. His face was full of surprise. "Mr. Musk, I'm sorry about the flight. My supervisor is finding you another pilot. You'll be in Denver by this afternoon." Elon sat down on the bench next to Marcus. "I don't usually involve myself in crew issues," he said. "But you've been my pilot for 3 years. In all that time, you've never missed a flight. Never been late. Never had a problem." Marcus looked away. "There's a first time for everything." "What's going on?" Elon asked. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "There's someone on that plane. Someone I can't be around. Someone who destroyed my family." Elon nodded. He was starting to understand. "Tell me about your daughter." Marcus's face changed. The professional mask fell away. Suddenly, he looked like what he really was, a father who had lost everything that mattered. "Her name was Luna," Marcus said softly. "Luna Chen. She was 8 years old. She loved space and rockets and dreams of flying to the stars." Marcus pulled out his wallet and showed Elon a small photograph. It was a school picture of a beautiful little girl with bright eyes and a big smile. She was wearing a NASA t-shirt. "She wanted to be an astronaut," Marcus continued. "She used to ask me a million questions about flying. How high can planes go, Daddy? Can we really fly to the moon? Will you take me to space someday?" Elon studied the photograph. The little girl looked happy and full of life. She looked like she believed anything was possible. "What happened to her?" Elon asked, gently. Marcus's voice became very quiet. 5 years ago, she was riding her bike home from a friend's house. It was getting dark, but she was only 2 blocks away. She was wearing her helmet. She was being careful. Marcus stopped talking. His hands began to shake. "A drunk driver hit her," Marcus continued. "Some guy coming home from a bar. He was going 40 miles per hour in a 25 zone. Luna never had a chance." Elon felt his heart break a little. He thought about his own boys riding their bikes. He thought about how he worried when they were 5 minutes late coming home. She lived for 3 days in the hospital, Marcus said. 3 days in a coma. The doctors said she might wake up. They said she might be okay. But on the 3rd day, her little heart just ... stopped. A tear rolled down Marcus's cheek. The last thing she said to me was, "Will you take me to space?" "Someday, Daddy," I told her yes. I promised her yes, but I never got the chance. Elon put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "I'm sorry, I can't imagine losing a child. The man who killed her got 18 months in prison," Marcus said bitterly. 18 months for taking my daughter's life, for destroying my marriage, for ruining everything I cared about. Marcus looked at Elon with pain-filled eyes. "That man is Derek Williamson, and right now, he's sitting in your plane, waiting for me to fly him to Denver." Elon understood now. The situation was impossible. How could he ask Marcus to fly the man who killed his daughter? But how could he delay the flight when Dr. Vasquez needed to save a child's life? Elon made another decision, a decision that would change everything. "Marcus," he said, "tell me more about Luna. I want to know who she really was." Marcus looked at the photograph in his hands. Luna's smiling face looked back at him. For 5 years, he had tried not to talk about her. It hurt too much. But something about Elon's kind eyes made him want to remember. "Luna was special," Marcus began. His voice was soft, like he was sharing a secret. "She wasn't just smart. She was curious about everything. Every day, she asked me 100 questions." Marcus smiled for the first time that morning. "She loved space more than anything. When she was 6, I took her to the Space Center in Houston. She spent the whole day staring at the rockets. She touched everything she was allowed to touch." Elon listened quietly. He could see the love in Marcus's eyes when he talked about his daughter. "That night in the hotel," Marcus continued, "Luna made me promise something. She made me promise that when she grew up, I would teach her to fly. She said flying was the first step to going to space." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed Elon more pictures. Luna building a model rocket at the kitchen table. Luna wearing a spacesuit costume for Halloween. Luna holding a trophy from her school science fair. "She won first place for her project about Mars," Marcus said proudly. "She built a model of the planet and wrote a 10-page report about why humans should go there. She was only 8 years old." Elon studied the pictures. Luna looked exactly like the kind of child who would grow up to change the world, the kind of child who would never give up on her dreams. "Tell me about your last day together," Elon said gently. Marcus's smile faded a little, but he continued, talking. "It was a Tuesday morning, just like today. Luna woke up early and came into the kitchen while I was making coffee. She was still in her pajamas. They were covered with little rockets and stars." Marcus's voice became warmer as he remembered. "She decided to make me breakfast. She was always trying to take care of me. She made toast, but she burned it a little. She made coffee, but she put in too much sugar. It was terrible coffee, but it was the best breakfast I ever had." Elon smiled. He thought about his own children making him breakfast, the burned pancakes and spilled orange juice, the chaos and love of morning routines. After breakfast, Marcus continued, "Luna showed me her newest drawing. She was always drawing spaceships and planets. This one was special. It showed a rocket, shipped with 2 people inside, a big person and a little person." Marcus's eyes filled with tears. "She said it was me and her flying to the moon together. She said when she became an astronaut, her first mission would be to take her daddy to space." Marcus had to stop talking for a moment. The memory was too beautiful and too painful. "I hung that drawing on the refrigerator," he whispered. "It's still there. I've moved 3 times since Luna died, but I always put that drawing on my new refrigerator." Elon felt his own eyes getting wet. He thought about all the drawings his children had made for him, the stick figures and crooked houses and impossible machines. He had saved every single one. "What happened that evening?" Elon asked. Marcus took a deep breath. Luna had a school project. She and her best friend Emma were working on a presentation about the solar system. They were supposed to present it the next day. Marcus looked up at the clear blue sky. Luna rode her bike to Emma's house after school. It was only 4 blocks away. She had ridden that route 100 times before. Marcus's voice became tight. With emotion, they worked on their project for 3 hours. Luna called me at 6 o'clock to say she was coming home. She was excited because they had finished early. She wanted to show me what they had made. Marcus pulled out another photo on his phone. It showed Luna and Emma standing next to a poster covered with pictures of planets. Both girls were grinning and holding markers. "This was the last picture ever taken of Luna," Marcus said. "Emma's mom sent it to me later. Look at her face. She's so happy, so proud of her work." Elon studied the picture. Luna was beaming with joy. Her NASA t-shirt was covered with glitter from their art project. Her hair was messy from working hard all afternoon. I had taught her that safety came first. Marcus's hands began to shake again. She should have been home by 6:25. When she wasn't home by 6:30, I started to worry. When she wasn't home by 6:45, I got in my car to look for her. Marcus stopped talking. His face went pale. "I found the ambulance first," he whispered. 2 blocks from our house. Red and blue lights everywhere, police cars, fire trucks, a crowd of people standing around looking scared. Elon put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. He could feel the man shaking. "Luna's bike was crushed," Marcus said. "Luna was alive. Barely alive, but alive." Marcus wiped his eyes with his sleeve. "The paramedic told me she had internal bleeding, brain swelling, broken ribs. They said the helmet probably saved her life." Marcus looked at Elon with desperate eyes. "For 3 days, I believed them. For 3 days, I thought Luna was going to be okay. The doctors said children were strong. They said she might wake up." Marcus's voice broke completely. "I sat by her bed for 3 days. I read her favorite books out loud. I played recordings of her favorite songs. I told her about all the places we would fly together when she got better." Elon felt tears running down his own cheeks. He thought about sitting in a hospital room, watching one of his children fight for their life. The thought was unbearable. To say something, but she was too weak. Marcus had to stop talking. He was crying too hard to continue. After a moment, he found his voice again. I leaned down close to her. She whispered, "Will you take me to space someday, Daddy?" I told her yes. I promised her yes. I said we would go to the moon and Mars and all the stars. Marcus sobbed quietly. She smiled and closed her eyes. The machines started beeping faster. Then they started beeping slower. Then they stopped. Beeping at all, Elon felt like his heart was breaking. He thought about his own children's voices, their questions and dreams and bedtime wishes. The idea of losing one of them was unthinkable. "Luna died believing I would take her to space," Marcus said. "She died trusting her daddy to keep his promise. But I can't keep that promise, Elon. I can never keep that promise." Marcus looked up at the sky again. "Every time I fly, I think about Luna. I imagine she's up there somewhere, watching me. I try to fly well enough to make her proud." Marcus turned to look at Elon. "But I can't fly with Derek Williamson on that plane. I can't sit in the cockpit and be professional while the man who killed my daughter sits just a few feet away. Can't do it." Elon was quiet for a long time. He thought about Luna's dreams. He thought about her last words to her father, something that might change everything. "Marcus," Elon said slowly, "what if there was a way to honor Luna's memory? What if there was a way to make her dreams come true, even though she's gone?" Marcus looked confused. "What do you mean? Need to know about Derek Williamson?" Marcus shook his head. "I don't want to know anything about him." Dr. Elena Vasquez had been sitting quietly in the corner of the VIP lounge. She recognized the sound of a father's broken heart. Elena was a small woman with kind eyes and steady hands. For 15 years, she had saved children's lives. She had also watched children die. She understood grief better than most people. When she heard the name Derek Williamson, something clicked in her mind. She knew that name. Times over the past 2 years, Elena stood up and walked toward the window. She could see 2 men sitting on a bench outside. One was clearly upset. The other was listening with patience and care. Elena made a decision. She walked outside and approached the 2 men. "Excuse me," she said politely. "I'm Dr. Elena Vasquez. I couldn't help overhearing your conversation." Marcus looked up at her with red eyes. He seemed embarrassed that a stranger had heard him crying. "I'm sorry," Marcus said. "I didn't mean to cause a scene." "You didn't cause anything," Elena said gently. "I'm a pediatric surgeon. I work with families who are going through the worst moments of their lives. I recognize pain when I see it." Marcus shook his head. "I don't want to hear anything about that man." "Yes, you do," Elena said firmly but kindly. Because what I'm going to tell you might change everything. Elon leaned forward. Alina took a deep breath. Derek Williamson has been funding my research for 2 years. He doesn't know that I know who he is. He makes his donations anonymously, but I did some investigating. Marcus looked confused. What kind of research? Pediatric trauma surgery, Alina explained. Specifically, helping children who have been in car accidents. What? But that's not all, Alina continued. Derek also volunteers. At the children's hospital where I work, every Tuesday and Thursday evening, he reads to the kids. He plays games with them. He sits with families when they're scared. Alina pulled out her phone and showed them a picture. It was Derek sitting in a hospital bed reading a book to a little boy with bandages on his head. This picture was taken last month, Alina said. Alina swiped to another picture. Derek was holding a model rocket, showing it to a group of children in wheelchairs. Derek brings these model rockets every week, Alina explained. He tells the children about a little girl who loved space. He doesn't say her name, but he talks about her dreams. He tells them that even when bad things happen, dreams can still come true. Marcus stared at the pictures, said softly, "Last month, we had a 10-year-old girl who was in a bicycle accident. She was unconscious for 5 days. Derek stayed at the hospital every night. He read to her when her parents needed to go home and rest." Elena's voice became even quieter. When the girl woke up, the first thing she asked for was one of Derek's model rockets. She said she had dreamed about flying to space while she was sleeping. Marcus couldn't speak. This didn't match the monster he had imagined for 5 years. Derek always requests the same thing, Alina continued. He says, it helps him remember why life is precious. Elon was listening carefully. Does he talk about why he does this? Alina nodded. Sometimes. He told me once that he made a terrible mistake 5 years ago. He said he hurt a family in a way that could never be fixed. He said every child he helps is his way of trying to make amends. Alina looked directly at Marcus. He just says he did something unforgivable, and now he has to spend the rest of his life trying to balance the scales. Marcus put his head in his hands. I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. Grief doesn't always make sense, Alina said gently, but healing sometimes does. The plane. She needed to update the passengers about the delay, but she noticed Derek sitting alone at a table. He was writing in a journal and crying quietly. Sarah had a kind heart. He quickly wiped his eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fine. Just writing some notes. I'm Sarah Rodriguez, the co-pilot. Mind if I sit down? Derek nodded. I've been flying for 5 years. I've learned that when passengers are upset, it usually helps to talk about it. Derek closed his journal slowly. It's complicated. Most important things are, Sarah said with a small smile. Derek looked at Sarah's honest face. There was something about her that reminded him of his sister. Someone safe to talk to. 5 years ago, Derek began quietly, I made the worst mistake of my life. I hurt people. I destroyed a family. And now I spend every day trying to figure out how to live with what I did. Sarah listened without judgment. In her job, she had met all kinds of people. Rich people, poor people, happy people, sad people. She had learned not to judge anyone by their worst moment. I was driving drunk, Derek continued. I hit a little girl on her bicycle. She was only 8 years old. She died 3 days later. Sarah's eyes went wide. She suddenly understood why Marcus had run off the plane. Her name was Luna Chen, Derek said. She loved space and rockets, and dreams of becoming an astronaut. Derek pulled out the small photograph of Luna. I carry her picture everywhere. Not because I think it makes me a good person. I don't deserve to be called good, but because I never want to forget what my choices cost. Sarah stared at the picture. It was the same little girl Marcus had shown her in photos on his desk. The same little girl Marcus talked about on quiet nights when they were flying long distances. I've spent 5 years trying to honor her memory, Derek continued. I volunteer at children's hospitals. I read to kids who are scared. I donate money. To help families who are going through what Luna's parents went through, Derek opened his journal and showed Sarah the letters. I write to her parents every day. I tell them about the children I've helped. I tell them about the donations I've made. I tell them how sorry I am. Sarah could see that the journal was thick with hundreds of letters. Have you ever sent the letters? Sarah asked. Derek shook his head. How could I? What right do I have to contact them? What could I possibly say that would matter? Derek's voice broke. Sorry isn't enough. Sorry doesn't bring Luna back. Sorry doesn't fix what I broke. Sarah felt her heart breaking for both Derek and Marcus. Two men, both destroyed by the same terrible moment, both carrying pain they didn't know how to heal. Derek, Sarah said carefully, what if I told you that Luna's father was closer than you think? Derek looked confused. What do you mean? Sarah realized she had to make a choice. She could stay out of this painful situation, or she could help two broken people find a way to heal. Derek, Sarah said quietly, Marcus Chen is our pilot. Luna's father has been flying this plane for 3 years. Derek's face went completely white. The journal slipped from his hands and fell to the floor. That's impossible, Derek whispered. It's not impossible, Sarah said. It's why our flight is delayed. Marcus saw your name on the passenger list and couldn't handle it. Derek stood up quickly, knocking over his chair. I have to leave. I have to get off this plane. I can't put him through this. Wait, Sarah said. Maybe this isn't a coincidence. Maybe this is exactly what both of you need. Derek was shaking so hard he could barely stand. His legs felt weak. His heart was beating so fast he thought he might pass out. Luna's father has been my pilot for 3 years, Derek whispered. How is that possible? Sarah gently picked up Derek's fallen journal and handed it back to him. The world is smaller than we think sometimes. Derek collapsed back into his chair. He must hate me. He probably wants to kill me. I can't face him. Maybe, Sarah said honestly. But maybe he needs to face you too. Derek shook his head wildly. You don't understand. I destroyed his life. I took away the most important thing in the world to him. There's nothing I could say that would make any difference. Sarah sat down next to Derek. Tell me about the letters you write. Derek looked confused. What? The letters to Luna's parents. What do you write about? Derek opened his journal with trembling hands. Everything. I write about my day at the hospital, about the children I read to, about the donations I make, about how sorry I am. Derek flipped through pages and pages of letters, all written in careful handwriting, all starting with Dear Mr. and Mrs. Chen. This one is from last week, Derek said, pointing to a recent entry I wrote about a little boy named Miguel. He was in a car accident and broke both his legs. He was scared about missing soccer season. Derek's voice became softer. I spent 3 hours with him talking about other things he could do while his legs healed. We talked about space exploration, about how astronauts have to be patient and wait for the right time to launch their missions. Sarah read over Derek's shoulder. The letter was beautiful. It was full of care and detail about helping a frightened child. What happened to Miguel? Sarah asked. He's doing great now, Derek said with a small smile. His legs healed perfectly. Last month, he sent me a drawing of a rocket ship with his name on it. He said when he grows up, he wants to be an astronaut who helps other kids. Derek flipped to another letter. This one is about a girl named Sophia. She was hit by a drunk driver just like Luna. She was in a coma for 2 weeks. Derek's eyes filled with tears. I stayed with her family every night. Her parents were so scared. They reminded me of what Luna's parents must have gone through. Sarah could see the pain in Derek's face, but she could also see something else. Love. Derek genuinely cared about these children. I read her favorite book to her every night, Derek continued. It was about a brave princess who flew to different planets to help people. When Sophia woke up, she asked her mom if the Rocket Man would come back to visit. Derek laughed through his tears. The Rocket Man? That's what the kids call me, because I always bring model rockets and tell them about space. Sarah was amazed. How many children have you helped? Derek thought for a moment. I don't keep count. Maybe 100? Maybe more. Every Tuesday and Thursday for 5 years, plus emergency visits when kids are really scared. Derek pulled out his phone and showed Sarah pictures. Children in hospital beds, smiling and holding model rockets. Derek, reading books to groups of kids in wheelchairs. Derek hugging a little girl who had just gotten out of surgery. These kids don't know my real story, Derek said. They don't know I'm the reason another little girl died. They just know I care about them. Sarah studied the pictures. In every one, Derek looked genuinely happy, not the happiness of someone trying to look good, the real happiness of someone who had found purpose. "Derek," Sarah said carefully, "have you ever told the children about Luna?" Derek nodded. "Not her name. That's not my right to share. But I tell them about a brave little girl who loved space. More than anything, I tell them she dreamed of flying to the stars and helping other people." Derek pulled out one of his model rockets. It was small and white, with an American flag painted on the side. "I give one of these to every child I meet," Derek said. "I tell them it's from a little girl who believed dreams can come true, even when life gets hard." Sarah held the rocket carefully. It was beautifully made. Someone had spent hours painting. The tiny details. "Do you make these yourself?" Sarah asked. "Every one," Derek said. "It takes me about 3 hours to build each rocket. I make them at night when I can't sleep. I've made over 300 of them." Derek showed Sarah a box under his seat. It was full of model rockets, all carefully wrapped in tissue paper. "I was taking these to the Children's Hospital in Denver," Derek explained. "Along with my donation, I wanted to start a new program there, a space camp for kids who are recovering from accidents." Derek's voice became excited for the first time. "The idea is to teach kids about space exploration while they're getting better. It gives them something to dream about instead of focusing on their pain." Sarah was amazed by Derek's dedication. "This is incredible, Derek. You've built something beautiful from something terrible." Derek's face darkened. "It doesn't bring Luna back. It doesn't fix what I did to her family." "No," Sarah agreed, "but it means her death wasn't meaningless. You've helped hundreds of children because of what happened to Luna." Derek looked confused. "I don't understand." "Think about it," Sarah said. "If you hadn't had that accident, if you hadn't hit Luna, would you be helping all these children now?" Derek considered this. "Probably not. Before the accident, I was selfish. I only cared about my job and my problems. I never thought about helping anyone else. So Luna's death changed you into someone who saves lives instead of destroying them," Sarah said gently. Derek's eyes went wide. He had never thought about it that way before. "But I still killed her," Derek whispered. "I still took her away from her parents." "Yes," Sarah said honestly, "that will always be true. But it's also true that her death created something good in the world. You." Derek stared at the model rocket in his hands. Do you think Luna's parents would want to know about the children I've helped?" "I don't know," Sarah said, "but I think they deserve the chance to decide for themselves." Derek looked toward the window where he could see 3 people talking outside. One of them was wearing a pilot's uniform. "Is that him?" Derek asked quietly. "Is that Marcus Chen?" Sarah nodded. "That's Luna's father." Derek watched Marcus for a long moment. Even from this distance, he could see the pain in the man's posture, the weight he carried on his shoulders. "He looks so sad," Derek whispered. "He's been sad for 5 years," Sarah said, "just like you have." Derek made a decision that surprised even himself. He stood up and picked up his journal. "I want to talk to him," Derek said. Sarah's eyes went wide. "Are you sure? He might not. Be ready for that." "I've been writing letters to him for 5 years," Derek said. "Maybe it's time I actually gave him one." Derek walked toward the window, carrying his journal and his box of model rockets. His hands were shaking, but his steps were steady. "Derek," Sarah called after him. "What are you going to say?" Derek turned back to her. "I'm going to tell him the truth, all of it." Derek's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm going to ask him to help me honor his daughter's memory the right way." Sarah watched Derek walk toward the exit, carrying his journal and box of model rockets. Her heart was pounding. She knew she was about to witness something that would change both men's lives forever. But Sarah also knew something Derek didn't. Marcus wasn't ready for this conversation. Not yet. Sarah ran after Derek and caught his arm gently. "Derek, wait. Let me talk to Marcus first. Let me prepare him." Derek stopped walking. "What do you mean?" "Right now, Marcus only knows you as the man who killed his daughter," Sarah explained. "He doesn't know about the hospitals. He doesn't know about the children you've helped. He doesn't know you've changed." Derek nodded slowly. "You're right. If I just walk up to him, he might. He might hate you even more," Sarah finished honestly. "But if he learns about the good you've done, first, maybe he'll be able to listen." Derek sat down heavily in a chair near the window. 5 years I've been preparing for this moment. 5 years of writing letters and helping children and trying to become a better person. But I'm still terrified. Sarah sat down next to him. That's because what you're about to do takes real courage. It's easy to hide from the people we've hurt. It's hard to face them. Outside, Sarah could see Marcus, Elon, and Dr. Vasquez still talking. Marcus looked upset, but he was listening. That was a good sign. Stay here, Sarah told Derek. Let me go talk to them. Give me 10 minutes. Derek nodded. Sarah, thank you for listening, for caring. I know you didn't have to do any of this. Sarah smiled. My job is to take care of passengers. All of them. That includes you. Sarah walked outside and approached the 3 people on the bench. They looked up as she came near. Marcus, Sarah said, I need to tell you something important. It's about Derek Williamson. Marcus's face hardened. I told you, I don't want to hear about him. Yes, you do, Sarah said firmly, because what I'm going to tell you might change everything you think you know. Dr. Vasquez looked interested. What did you find out? Sarah took a deep breath. I just spent an hour talking to Derek. He told me things that I think you need to hear. Sarah pulled out her phone and showed them the pictures Derek had shared. Children in hospital beds holding model rockets. Derek reading 2 groups of kids. Derek hugging a little girl after surgery. Derek has been volunteering at children's hospitals for 5 years, Sarah explained, every Tuesday and Thursday evening. Plus emergency visits when kids are really scared. Marcus stared at the pictures. His hands began to shake again. He makes these model rockets by hand, Sarah continued. Over 300 of them, he gives one to every child he meets. He tells them about a little girl who loved space. Sarah swiped 2 more pictures. This is Miguel, a boy who broke both legs in a car accident. This is Sophia, a girl who was hit by a drunk driver. This is Tommy, whose parents couldn't make it to the hospital. Elon studied the pictures carefully. These children look genuinely happy with him. They are, Sarah said. Derek doesn't just visit them, he cares about them. He learns their names, he remembers their stories. He follows up to see how they're doing. Dr. Vasquez nodded. This matches what I've seen at our hospital. Derek never misses his volunteer nights, even when he's sick, even when he's traveling. Sarah looked directly at Marcus. Derek carries Luna's picture everywhere. Not because he thinks it makes him a good person, but because he never wants to forget what his choices cost. Marcus's voice was barely a whisper. He carries Luna's picture. Sarah nodded. He showed it to me. Her school picture, the one where she's wearing her NASA t-shirt. Marcus put his head in his hands. That was her favorite shirt. I bought it for her 8th birthday. Derek knows that, Sarah said gently. He knows everything about Luna. He studied her life. He's learned about her dreams. Every child he helps, he tells them about a brave little girl who wanted to fly to the stars. Elon was amazed. Because Derek has been writing letters to Marcus and his ex-wife for 5 years, Sarah explained. Every single day, he writes about the children he helps, about the donations he makes, about how sorry he is. Sarah paused. He's never sent a single letter. He doesn't think he has the right to contact Luna's parents. Marcus looked up with tears in his eyes. 5 years of letters. 5 years, Sarah confirmed. He's inside right now, carrying his journal. It's filled with hundreds of letters to you. Dr. Vasquez spoke up. Marcus, I've worked with grief counselors for 15 years. I've seen what happens when people turn their pain into purpose. Derek has done something extraordinary. Marcus shook his head. But it doesn't bring Luna back. No, Dr. Vasquez agreed. Nothing will ever bring Luna back. But Derek's work means her death wasn't meaningless. Her death created something beautiful. In the world, Elon leaned forward. Marcus, you said Luna wanted to help people. You said she dreamed of being an astronaut so she could explore space and make discoveries that would help humanity. Marcus nodded. She always talked about finding new planets where people could live safely. Then, in a strange way, Elon said, slowly, Derek is helping Luna's dreams come true. He's helping children. He's making discoveries about how to heal from trauma. He's exploring the deepest parts of human nature. Marcus was quiet for a long time. The weight of everything he had learned was almost too much to bear. I don't know if I can forgive him, Marcus said finally. I don't know if I should forgive him. You don't have to forgive him today, Dr. Vasquez said gently. But maybe you could listen to him. Maybe you could hear what he has to say. Sarah checked her watch. There's something else you should know. Derek is planning to give $2.3 million to the Children's Hospital in Denver. He wants to build a new wing for kids who've been in accidents. Sarah paused for effect. He wants to call it Luna's Dream Center. Marcus's mouth fell open. What? He doesn't plan to use Luna's name without your permission, Sarah explained quickly. But he wants to create a place where kids can learn about space while they recover. A place where Luna's love of dreams and exploration can inspire other children. Elon stood up suddenly. Marcus, do you realize what this means? Derek isn't just sorry about what he did. He spent 5 years building a living memorial to your daughter. Marcus was overwhelmed. Everything he thought he knew about Derek Williamson was crumbling. The monster he had imagined was actually a broken man trying desperately to honor Luna's memory. I need to think, Marcus said. This is too much. I can't process all of this. Sarah knelt down in front of Marcus. You don't have to decide anything right now, but Derek is inside, and he wants to talk to you. He wants to give you his journal. He wants to ask for your help in honoring Luna the right way. Marcus looked toward the terminal building. Through the window, he could see a man sitting alone. At a table, the man was holding something small in his hands. Is that him? Marcus asked. That's Derek, Sarah confirmed. He's holding one of the model rockets he made. He makes them while thinking about Luna. Double quotes, Marcus stood up slowly. His legs felt unsteady. His heart was racing. Every instinct told him to run away. But something else, something deeper, told him to stay. If I talk to him, Marcus said quietly, what am I supposed to say? Hi, nice to meet the man who killed my daughter. Dr. Vasquez touched Marcus's arm. You don't have to say anything. Just listen. Let him talk. Let him show you what he's built from the wreckage of that terrible night. Elon checked his own watch. Marcus, there's something else to consider. Dr. Vasquez needs to get to Denver to save a child's life. If we don't take off soon, ... He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone understood. A 6-year-old boy's life was hanging in the balance. Marcus looked at Dr. Vasquez. You really need to get to Denver? The surgery was moved up, Dr. Vasquez said. If I don't operate in the next 4 hours, we might lose him. Marcus felt the weight of an impossible choice. He could continue running from his pain, but that would mean a child might die. Or he could face the man who killed his daughter and somehow find a way to fly the plane. Marcus looked up at the clear blue sky. Luna had always said the sky was big enough for everyone's dreams. Okay, Marcus said, his voice shaking. I'll talk to him, but I'm not making any promises about flying. Sarah smiled. That's all Derek is asking for, a chance to be heard. As they walked toward the terminal, Marcus felt like he was about to jump off a cliff. He had no idea where he would land, but for the first time in 5 years, he was ready. To find out, Marcus walked through the terminal doors with Elon, Sarah, and Dr. Vasquez behind him. His legs felt like they were made of lead. Each step was harder than the last dot. Derek was sitting at a small table near the window. He was holding a model rocket and staring at it like it held all the answers in the world. His journal was open in front of him. When Derek looked up and saw the group approaching, his face went completely white. He recognized Marcus immediately from the pilot's uniform. This was Luna's father, the man whose life he had destroyed. Derek stood up so quickly that his chair fell backward. You're Marcus Chen, Derek whispered. His voice was barely audible. You're Luna's father. Marcus stopped walking. He was only 10 feet away from Derek, but it felt like standing at the edge of a canyon. 5 years of anger and grief crashed over him like a wave. Yes, Marcus said. His voice was cold and hard. I'm Luna's father. I'm the man whose 8-year-old daughter you killed when you decided to drive drunk. Derek's legs gave out. He collapsed back into his chair, his face in his hands. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know sorry will never be enough. All the therapy sessions, all the times he had imagined this exact moment. You're right, Marcus said, his voice getting louder. Sorry isn't enough. Sorry doesn't bring my little girl back. Sorry doesn't fix the fact that she never grow up, never become an astronaut, never get married, never have children of her own. Derek was crying now. I know, I think about that every day, Marcus shouted. People in the terminal turned to stare. You don't have the right to say her name. You lost that right when you got behind the wheel of your car. Derek nodded, still crying. You're right. I don't have that right. Marcus was shaking with anger. Do you know what her last words were? Do you want to know what my daughter said before she died? Marcus's voice broke. She asked me to take her to space someday. She was dying, and she still believed in dreams. I'm so sorry I took that away from both of you. You took everything. Marcus yelled, You took my daughter. You took my marriage. You took my ability to sleep at night. You took my faith that the world is a safe place for children. Derek didn't defend himself. He didn't make excuses. He just sat there and took every word, every accusation, every piece of Marcus's pain. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward gently. Marcus, maybe Derek should tell you what he's done since that night. I don't want to hear it, Marcus said firmly. Nothing he's done will bring Luna back. No, Derek said quietly. Nothing will bring her back. But maybe you should know that she changed my life too. Marcus laughed bitterly. She changed your life. She was 8 years old. She died because of you. How dare you talk about how it affected you? Derek pulled out his journal with shaking hands. I've written you a letter every day for 5 years. 1,826 letters. I never sent them because I didn't think I had the right. Derek opened the journal and began to read in a broken voice. Dear Mr. Chen, today, I volunteered at the Children's Hospital again. I met a little boy named Carlos who was in a bicycle accident. He reminded me of your daughter because he loves space too. I read him a book about Mars exploration. When I left, he asked if I would come back tomorrow. I said yes, because that's what she would have wanted me to do. Marcus was listening despite himself. Derek flipped to another page and continued. Reading, Dear Mr. Chen, I donated $50,000 to the Children's Trauma Center today. It's money I don't deserve to have, but money that can help other families avoid what I put you through. I hope someday you'll know that every child I help is my way of honoring your daughter's memory. Derek's voice was getting stronger now. He flipped through more pages. Dear Mr. Chen, a little girl named Emma woke up from a coma today. She was hit by a drunk driver, just like your daughter. She said she had dreamed about flying to space while she was sleeping, every Tuesday and Thursday evening. For 5 years, I've made over 300 of them. I give one to every child I meet at the hospital. I tell them about a brave little girl who loves space more than anything. I don't say her name because that's not my right, but I make sure her dreams live on in other children. Marcus stared. At the small rocket, it was beautifully made. Someone had spent hours painting the tiny details, the American flag, the small windows, the carefully written letters spelling dream on the side. You made this? Marcus asked quietly. I made it thinking about Luna, Derek said honestly. Every rocket I make, I think about her love of space, her curiosity, her belief that anything was possible. Derek opened his phone and showed Marcus pictures, children in hospital beds, smiling and holding identical rockets. Derek reading books to groups of kids in wheelchairs. These are some of the children I've helped, Derek said. Miguel, who broke both legs in a car accident. Sophia, who was in a coma for 2 weeks. Tommy, whose parents couldn't make it to the hospital. Marcus studied the pictures. In every one, Derek looked genuinely happy. Not the fake happiness of someone trying to look good. Real happiness. The happiness of someone who had found purpose. How many children? Marcus asked. I don't keep count, Derek said. Maybe 100, maybe more. Every child I help is my way of trying to balance the scales. Marcus felt his anger wavering. This wasn't what he had expected. For 5 years, he had imagined Derek as a heartless drunk who had forgotten all about Luna and moved on with his life. But this man hadn't moved on. This man was carrying Luna's memory, just like Marcus was. Why? Marcus asked. Why do you do all this? Derek looked Marcus directly in the eyes. Because your daughter changed me. Her death showed me what my choices really cost, not just money or time in prison. Real cost, a little girl's life. Derek's voice became stronger. I can't undo what I did. I can't bring Luna back, but I can make sure her death meant something. I can make sure other children get the chances she'll never have. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. The anger was still there, but it was mixed with something he hadn't expected. Respect. The children you help, Marcus said slowly. Do they? No, about Luna. Derek nodded. I tell them about a little girl who dreamed of flying to the stars. I tell them she believed that space was infinite, which meant there was room for everyone's dreams up there, no matter how big they were. Marcus's breath caught. Those were Luna's exact words, words he had never told anyone except his ex-wife. How do you know she said that? Marcus whispered. Derek looked embarrassed. I learned everything I could about Luna. I wanted to understand who she was, not just that she was the girl I killed. Derek pulled out the small photograph of Luna. I carry this everywhere, not because I think it makes me a good person, but because I never want to forget that my actions have consequences, real consequences. Marcus stared at his daughter's school picture in Derek's hands. It was worn and faded from being carried for 5 years. You've been carrying her picture for 5 years, Marcus asked. Every day, Derek said. She reminds me why I have to keep trying to be better, why I have to keep helping other children, why I can never, ever drink again. Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. The wall of anger he had, built around his heart, was developing fissures. Derek, Marcus said quietly. It was the first time he had used the man's name without hatred. Yes, Marcus looked at the model rocket in his hands. Tell me about the little girl who woke up from the coma. Tell me about Emma. Derek's face lit up at Marcus's question. For the first time since they had started talking, he looked hopeful. Emma Rodriguez, Derek said softly. She was 10 years old when it happened. A drunk driver hit her while she was walking home from school. A little girl with long dark hair was lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by machines and tubes. She was in a coma for 2 weeks, Derek continued. The doctors weren't sure if she would wake up. Her parents, Maria and Carlos, stayed by her bed, day and night. Marcus studied the picture. Emma looked so small and fragile. She reminded him of Luna in that hospital bed 5 years ago. I heard about Emma from Dr. Vasquez, Derek said. She asked if I would come sit with the family. Sometimes parents need a break, but they're afraid to leave their child alone. Derek swiped to another picture. This one showed him sitting next to Emma's bed, reading from a book. I read to Emma every night, Derek said. Her favorite book was about a princess who traveled to different planets to help people in trouble. The princess had a magic rocket ship that could go anywhere in the universe. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Luna loved that book too. I must have read it to her 100 times. Derek nodded. I know. I bought 20 copies of that book and donated them to the hospital library. I wanted other children to hear the same stories Luna loved. Derek showed Marcus more pictures. Emma's parents sleeping in chairs next to her bed, Derek bringing them coffee and sandwiches, Derek talking quietly to Emma's little brother, who was scared his sister might die. On the 14th night, Derek said, something amazing happened. Derek's voice became excited. Emma's eyes opened right in the middle of the story. She looked at me and whispered, did the princess find their dreams? Marcus smiled despite everything. What did you tell her? I told her the truth, Derek said. The princess helped the children remember that dreams never really die. They just go to sleep sometimes and wait for the right moment to wake up. Derek swiped to a new picture. Emma was awake now, sitting up in bed with a huge smile. She was holding a model rocket. When Emma was strong enough to sit up, Derek continued, I gave her one of my rockets. I told her about a brave little girl who loved space more than anything in the world. Marcus looked closely at the picture. Marcus asked quietly. Derek chose his words carefully. I told her that the little girl believed space was infinite. That meant there was room for everyone's dreams up there, no matter how big they were. Words she had said to him on her last birthday when they looked at the stars together. I told Emma, Derek continued, that the little girl's biggest dream was to help other children believe in themselves. Even though the little girl couldn't become an astronaut herself, her dream was still coming true through kids like Emma. Derek showed Marcus one more picture. Emma said something that day that I'll never forget. Derek said, she said, the little girl who loved space must be very proud of you for taking care of sick kids. Marcus had to look away. His vision was blurry with tears. Emma was right, Derek said softly. I hope Luna is proud. I hope she knows that her love of space is helping other children find hope when they're scared. Marcus wiped his eyes. What happened to Emma? Is she okay now? Derek's face broke into a genuine smile. She's perfect, She recovered completely. No brain damage, no lasting injuries. She goes to school, plays soccer, and wants to be an astronaut when she grows up. Derek pulled up a recent picture on his phone. Last month, Derek said, Emma sent me a drawing. It showed 2 rocket ships flying to the moon together. One had her name on it. The other had the name Luna written in gold letters. Marcus's heart nearly stopped. She knew Luna's name. Derek shook his head quickly. I never told her, but Emma is smart. She figured out that Luna means moon in Spanish. Marcus stared at Derek in amazement. She said she wanted Luna to know that her dreams were still alive, that other kids were still reaching for the stars because of her. Marcus felt something shifting inside his chest. There, but it was being crowded out by something else. Something that felt almost like gratitude. Over the past 5 years, maybe 100 kids, maybe more. They all know about the brave little girl who loved space. Derek opened his journal and flipped through the pages. Miguel, who broke his legs in a car accident, when he got his casts off, he said he wanted to be strong like the little girl who loved space. Derek pointed to another entry, Sophia, who was hit by a drunk driver. She was so angry when she woke up, but when I told her about the little girl's dreams, she said she wanted to help other kids instead of staying angry. Derek kept flipping pages. Carlos, who was in a bicycle accident, Antonio, who fell off his roof, Maria, who was hurt in a playground. Accident, every one of them knows about Luna's love of space. Marcus was overwhelmed. You've been spreading Luna's story for 5 years. Not her story, Derek corrected gently. Her spirit, her curiosity, her belief that anything is possible. I never wanted to take credit for her dreams. I just wanted to make sure they didn't die with her. Marcus looked around the terminal. Dr. Vasquez was watching him with kind eyes. Sarah was smiling hopefully. Elon was checking his watch but trying to be patient. Derek listened carefully. Marcus's voice became soft with memory. The night before the accident, Luna and I were looking at the stars. She asked me why space was so big. I told her I didn't know. Marcus smiled through his tears. Luna said space had to be infinite because that was the only way there could be room for everyone's dreams. She said if space was small, some people's dreams might not fit. Derek was. Crying again? Luna also said something else that night. Marcus continued. She said she hoped that if anything ever happened to her, someone would make sure other kids kept dreaming about space. Marcus looked directly at Derek. You've been answering my daughter's prayer for 5 years, and I didn't even know it. Derek was speechless. Marcus held up the model rocket. How many of these have you made? Over 300, Derek said. I make them at night when I can't sleep. Each one takes about 3 hours. Marcus did the math in his head. That's 900 hours. Derek nodded. It helps me remember why I'm trying to be better, why I can never drink again, why I have to keep helping children. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. He turned the rocket over in his hands, studying every detail. Derek, Marcus said finally, I have a question for you. Anything? Marcus looked up with tears in his eyes. Would you like to help me keep a promise I made to my daughter? Derek stared at Marcus with wide eyes. What promise? Marcus stood up slowly, still holding the model rocket. I promised Luna I would take her to space someday. I can't keep that promise for her, but maybe I can keep it for other children. Derek looked confused. I don't understand. Marcus turned to look at Dr. Vasquez. You said there's a little boy in Denver who needs surgery, a 6-year-old. Dr. Vasquez nodded. Nathan, he was in a car accident 3 days ago. Everyone understood. Marcus looked back at Derek. What if we flew together to Denver? What if we made sure Dr. Vasquez could save that little boy's life? Derek's mouth fell open. You want me to fly with you? I want us to fly together, Marcus said firmly. Marcus, I don't know if I can do that. Being on the same plane as you, ... it feels wrong, like I'm dishonoring Luna's memory. Marcus put his hand on Derek's. You've spent 900 hours making rockets by hand. Marcus, are you sure about this? Flying with Derek is a big step, Marcus. 5 years ago, Derek took something from me. Today, he gave me something back. What did he give you? Elon asked. Marcus looked at the model rocket in his hands. He gave me back my daughter's purpose. For 5 years, I thought Luna's death was meaningless, random, cruel. But Derek showed me that Luna's death created something beautiful in the world. You're not the same man who was driving that night 5 years ago. But I still killed her, Marcus. I still took her away from you." "Yes," Marcus said honestly. "You did. And that will always—" Marcus looked up at the sky through the terminal windows. "Luna used to tell me that when you're flying, you're closer to heaven." Marcus turned back to Derek. "I think she would want her last flight to be one that saves another child." Dr. Vasquez checked her watch. "Marcus, Derek, are you both ready?" To do this, Marcus looked at Derek. "I promised her we would fly together someday," Marcus said. "She's not here to fly with me, but you are. And every child you've helped carries a piece of her spirit." Derek stood up and picked up his journal. "Marcus, I want to give you this. These letters belong to you now." Marcus took the journal. It was heavy with 5 years of daily letters. 5 years of grief and guilt and hope. "Thank you," Marcus said. "But I want you to keep writing them. I want you to keep telling Luna about the children you help." Derek looked surprised. "You want me to keep writing to her?" Marcus nodded. "But from now on, you don't have to write. Alone, you can share the letters with me. We can both tell Luna about the children whose lives were changing." Derek could barely speak. "You would do that? You would work with me." Marcus looked at Dr. Vasquez, then at Elon, then back at Derek. "Derek, I want you to tell me about your donation to the Denver hospital, the $2.3 million, Derek explained. About his parents' inheritance and his plan to build a new wing for children who had been in accidents. "What were you going to call it?" Marcus asked. "Luna's Dream Center," Derek said quietly, "but only if you gave me permission to use her name." Marcus was quiet for a moment, then he smiled. "I want to change the name." Derek looked worried. "Of course, whatever you want. I want to call it the Luna Chen Center for Children's Dreams," Marcus said. "I want Luna's full name on the building. I want every child who goes there to know about the little girl who loved space." Derek's legs gave out again. He sat down hard in his chair. "You want her name on the building?" "I want more than that," Marcus said. "I want to help you design it. I want it to have a planetarium. I want it to have model rocket workshops. I want it to be everything Luna would have loved." Elon was amazed. "Marcus, this is incredible. You're creating a living memorial to your daughter." Marcus looked at Elon. "We're all creating it. Derek with his donation, Dr. Vasquez with her medical expertise, you with your knowledge of space and technology." Marcus turned back to Derek. "But most importantly, we're creating it together. Man who loved Luna and the man who accidentally took her life, working together to make sure her dreams never die." Derek was crying so hard he could barely speak. "I don't deserve your forgiveness, Marcus. I don't deserve to work with you. This isn't about what you deserve," Marcus said gently. "This is about what Luna deserves. She deserves to have her dreams live on. She deserves to inspire other children. She deserves to have meaning come from her death." Marcus helped Derek stand up, and she deserves to have her father and the man who changed because of her work together to help other kids. Sarah checked her watch. "If we're going to save Nathan, we need to get on that plane right now." Marcus looked at Derek. "Are you ready to fly with me?" Derek picked up his box of model rockets. "I'm ready, but Marcus, yes. Can I ask you something about Luna?" Marcus smiled. "Of course. What was her favorite thing about flying?" Marcus's eyes lit up. She loved takeoff. She said it was the moment when dreams stopped being wishes and started becoming real. Derek nodded. "Then let's go make some dreams real." They walked together toward the plane. Marcus in his pilot's uniform, Derek carrying his box of rockets. Dr. Vasquez hurried alongside them, thinking about the little boy whose life she was about to save. As they climbed the stairs to the plane, Marcus turned to Derek. "There's something else Luna used to say about flying." "What?" Marcus looked at the clear blue sky. "She said every flight was a new adventure. She said you never knew where you might end up, but that was what made it exciting." Derek smiled through his tears. "Where do you think this flight will take us?" Marcus thought about Nathan in the Denver hospital, about the children Derek had helped, about the Luna Chen Center they would build together. "I don't know where we'll end up," Marcus said, "but I know Luna would be proud of this adventure." As the plane's engine started, Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in 5 years. Hope not just for himself, but for Derek, for Nathan, for all the children who would benefit from Luna's continuing legacy. Some journeys end not where we expected to land, but exactly where we needed to be. And this journey was just beginning. The flight to Denver was unlike any Marcus had ever piloted. As the plane climbed through the clouds, he felt Luna's presence in the cockpit with him, not the sad, grieving presence he had carried for 5 years. Something lighter, something peaceful. In the cabin, Derek sat quietly with Dr. Vasquez and James Okafor, the young inventor. Derek had opened his box of model rockets and was showing them to James. "These are beautiful," James said, examining one of the rockets. "You made all of these by hand?" Derek nodded. "Each one takes about 3 hours. I make them for children in hospitals." Dr. Vasquez smiled. "Derek brings these to our hospital every week. The kids call him the Rocket Man." James was amazed. "What inspired you to start doing this?" Derek looked toward the cockpit, where Marcus was flying the plane. "A little girl who loves space more than anything in the world. She taught me that dreams never really die. They just find new ways to come true." Dr. Vasquez checked her watch. "We should land in Denver in 30 minutes. The hospital is expecting me." Derek pulled out his phone and showed Dr. Vasquez a picture. "This is Nathan, isn't it? The boy you're going to help?" Dr. Vasquez looked surprised. "How do you know about Nathan?" "I volunteer at children's hospitals," Derek explained. "Word travels fast when a child needs help. I've been following Nathan's story." Derek showed them more pictures on his phone. A 6-year-old boy with bright eyes and a big smile, lying in a hospital bed surrounded by get-well cards. "Nathan's parents sent these pictures to our hospital," Derek said. "They were hoping we could send him some encouragement." Dr. Vasquez studied the pictures. "He looks just like my own son did at that age." "Nathan loves space too," Derek continued. "His mother said he wants to be an astronaut when he grows up, just like Luna did." James looked confused. "Who's Luna?" Derek's eyes filled with tears. "Luna Chen was an 8-year-old girl who died 5 years ago. She was hit by a drunk driver while riding her bike home." Derek looked toward the cockpit again. "The pilot of this plane is her father, Marcus Chen." James's mouth fell open. "And the drunk driver?" Derek's voice became very quiet. "That was me." James stared at Derek in shock. Dr. Vasquez put her hand on Derek's arm. "Derek has spent 5 years trying to honor Luna's memory." Dr. Vasquez explained to James he's helped over 100 children. He's donated hundreds of thousands of dollars. He's dedicated his life to making sure Luna's dreams live on. James was amazed. "And Marcus is okay with you being on this plane?" Derek smiled through his tears. "More than okay. We're going to work together to build a new children's center in Luna's honor. A place where sick kids can learn about space." While they recover, over the intercom, Marcus's voice came through the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're beginning our descent into Denver. Dr. Vasquez, the hospital is sending an ambulance to meet us at the airport." Dr. Vasquez gathered her medical bag. "Thank you, Marcus. How much time will I have?" Marcus's voice was calm and professional. "Nathan's surgery is scheduled for 2 o'clock. It's 12:30 now. You'll have plenty of time." Derek looked out the window. As the plane descended through the clouds, the city of Denver spread out below them, with the Rocky Mountains rising in the distance. "Luna would have loved this view," Derek said softly. "She always said mountains looked like giant rockets pointed at the sky." The plane touched down smoothly at Denver International Airport. As they taxied to the gate, Derek could see an ambulance. Waiting with its lights flashing, Dr. Vasquez stood up and shook hands with Derek and James. "Thank you both for an inspiring flight." "Derek, I'll make sure Nathan knows about Luna's love of space." "Wait," Derek said. He reached into his box and pulled out a special model rocket. This one was painted gold and silver, with tiny stars covering the surface. "This is for Nathan," Derek said, handing the rocket to Dr. Vasquez. "I made it last week when I heard about his accident." Dr. Vasquez examined the beautiful rocket. On the side, painted in careful letters, were the words, "Nathan's dreams." "It's beautiful," Dr. Vasquez said. "But why does it say Nathan's dreams?" Derek smiled. "Because every child deserves to have their dreams written on a rocket. Every child deserves to believe they can reach the stars." As Dr. Vasquez hurried off the plane toward the waiting ambulance, Marcus came out of the cockpit. He was still wearing his pilot's uniform, but his face looked different, peaceful, like a heavy weight had been lifted from his shoulders. "How are you feeling, Marcus?" asked Derek. "Different," Derek said honestly. "Like maybe I'm finally doing something right." Marcus sat down next to Derek. "Derek, I want to ask you something. Anything. When we build Luna's center, I want you to be more than just a donor. I want you to help run it. I want you to be the one who tells children about Luna's love of space." Derek looked shocked. "Marcus, I can't. I don't deserve. This isn't about what you deserve," Marcus said firmly. "This is about what those children deserve. They deserve to hear Luna's story from someone who truly understands how precious life is." Derek was quiet for a moment. What would Luna think about that? Marcus smiled. Luna believed everyone deserved a second chance. She believed people could change and grow and become better than they were before. Marcus looked out the window at the mountains. She also believed that the best way to honor someone's memory was to help other people, not to stay angry or sad, but to create something beautiful. Derek nodded slowly. "I'd be honored to help run Luna's center." "Good," Marcus said, "because I have another idea." Marcus pulled out his phone and showed Derek a text message from his ex-wife. Rosa Marcus had called her during the flight to tell her about meeting Derek and their plans for Luna's center. The text message read, "Marcus, I'm not ready to forgive Derek yet, but if he's really helping children, and if you think Luna would approve, then I support building the center. Maybe healing doesn't always look the way we expect it to." Derek read the message with tears in his eyes. "Your ex-wife, ... She knows about me." Marcus nodded. "I called her during the flight. I told her everything. About your volunteer work, your donations, your letters. I told her we were going to build something beautiful together in Luna's honor." "What did she say?" Marcus smiled. "She said building a center to help other children was exactly what Luna would want." Derek was crying again, but these were different tears. These were tears of hope instead of grief. "Marcus," Derek said, "can I tell you something Luna would want to know?" "Of course." Derek pulled out his phone and showed Marcus a picture he had taken that morning. It was a drawing made by a little girl at the hospital. The drawing showed a rocket ship flying toward a smiling moon. A 7-year-old girl named Isabella made this yesterday. Isabella was sitting in her hospital bed, holding one of Derek's model rockets and grinning from ear to ear. "When I gave Isabella her rocket," Derek continued, "she asked me about the little girl who loved space. She asked if the little girl was happy now." Marcus listened carefully. "I told Isabella that the little girl was very happy," Derek said. Derek showed Marcus one more picture. Isabella was standing at her hospital room window, holding her rocket up toward the sky like she was launching it to the moon. "Isabella said something that made me cry," Derek continued. "She said, 'I bet the little girl is flying with the astronauts now, and she's watching over all the kids who love space like she did.'" Marcus felt his heart fill with warmth. Luna would love Isabella. "There's more," Derek said. "Isabella's accident happened on the same day 5 years ago that Luna died. June 17th, Marcus's breath caught the same day." Derek nodded. "A coincidence? I knew Luna was watching over Isabella, just like she's been watching over all the children I've helped." Marcus looked out the window at the Denver skyline. Somewhere in this city, Dr. Vasquez was preparing to save Nathan's life. Somewhere in this city, a new children's center would be built to honor Luna's dreams. "Derek," Marcus said, "I think Luna brought us together today for a reason." "What reason?" "To land, but exactly where we needed to be." As they prepared to leave the plane, Derek handed Marcus's journal one more time. "What do you want me to do with this?" Marcus asked. Derek smiled. "Luna, the first letter we write together." Marcus opened the journal to a fresh page and wrote at the top, "Dear Luna, today your daddy and Derek flew together to help save a little boy's life. We think you would be proud." 6 hours later, Marcus and Derek sat in the waiting room of Denver Children's Hospital. The surgery was over. Nathan was alive and would recover completely. Dr. Vasquez had come out of the operating room with the biggest lasting damage. Nathan will be running around again in 6 weeks. Now Marcus and Derek were waiting to meet Nathan's family. Derek clutched the journal that he and Marcus had been writing in together. "Derek," Marcus said quietly, "I want to tell you something." "About forgiveness." Derek looked up. "What do you mean?" "I thought it meant letting you off the hook for killing my daughter." Derek nodded. That's why I never asked for forgiveness. I don't deserve to be let off the hook. Marcus shook his head. But today I learned something different. Forgiveness isn't about letting you off the hook. It's about letting myself off the hook. Derek looked confused. I don't understand. For 5 years, I've been carrying hatred like a heavy backpack, Marcus said. Everywhere I went, every day I lived, I was carrying this weight of anger and bitterness. It was exhausting. Marcus looked at Derek with clear eyes. Today I realized I don't have to carry that weight anymore. Not because you deserve forgiveness, but because I deserve peace. Derek's eyes filled with tears. Does that mean you forgive me? Marcus was quiet for a moment. I forgive the man you used to be, the drunk driver who made a terrible mistake. But more importantly, I respect the man you've become, the man who has spent 5 years honoring my daughter's memory. Derek started crying. How to thank you? Don't thank me, Marcus said. A nurse came into the waiting room. Excuse me, are you the gentleman who brought Dr. Vasquez here? Marcus and Derek stood up. Yes, that's us. The nurse smiled. Nathan's family would like to meet you. They want to thank you for making sure Dr. Vasquez could save their son's life. Marcus and Derek followed the nurse down a long hallway covered with children's artwork. At the end of the hall was a door with a sign that read, Nathan Chen, room 247. Derek stopped walking. Did she say Nathan Chen? The nurse turned around. Yes, Nathan Chen. Is there a problem? Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. Chen is Nathan's last name. Yes, the nurse said. Nathan Chen. He's 6 years old, sweetest little boy you've ever met. Marcus and Derek looked at each other in amazement. It couldn't be a coincidence. They entered the hospital room and saw a little boy sitting up in bed, surrounded by his parents. Nathan had dark hair and bright eyes, just like Luna had. He was holding the golden model rocket Derek had sent with. Dr. Vasquez, Nathan's mother, stood up when they entered. She was a small woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. You must be the men who made sure Dr. Vasquez could get here in time, she said. I'm Linda Chen. This is my husband, David. This is Nathan. Marcus shook hands with Nathan's parents, but his mind was spinning. Another Chen family, another child who loved space, another near tragedy that had ended in hope instead of heartbreak. Mr. Chen, Derek said to Nathan's father, are you related to Marcus Chen by any chance? David Chen looked surprised. I don't think so. Chen is a common name. Why do you ask? Marcus stepped forward. Because my name is Marcus Chen. My daughter Luna was killed in a car accident 5 years ago. She was 8 years old and loved space just like Nathan does. Linda Chen gasped. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for your loss. Marcus looked at little Nathan, who was still admiring his golden rocket. Nathan, can I ask you something? Nathan nodded shyly. What do you want to be when you grow up? Marcus asked. Nathan's face lit up. An astronaut. I want to fly to Mars and help people build cities there. Those were almost exactly the same words Luna had used. Derek stepped forward. Nathan, the man who made your rocket, wanted you to know something special. Nathan looked curious. What? Derek knelt down next to Nathan's bed. There was once a little girl who loved space just as much as you do. She dreamed of flying to Mars too. She wanted to help people and explore new worlds. Nathan listened carefully. What happened to her? Derek chose his words carefully. Didn't die. They live on in children, like you, who love space and want to help people. Nathan held up his golden rocket. Is this from her? Derek looked at Marcus, who nodded. Yes, Nathan. That rocket is from Luna. She wanted you to know that dreams are like rockets. Even when one rocket can't fly, it can help other rockets reach the stars. Nathan's eyes went wide. Luna, that's a beautiful name. Nathan, Luna's biggest dream was that other children would keep exploring space even if she couldn't. When you become an astronaut someday, you'll be making her dream come true. Nathan looked at Marcus with serious eyes. Are you Luna's daddy? Marcus nodded, his voice thick with emotion. Yes, I am. Nathan thought for a moment. Then he held out his golden rocket to Marcus. Do you want to hold Luna's rocket? Maybe she can feel you touching it. It was warm from Nathan's touch and beautiful in the afternoon sunlight streaming through the hospital window. Nathan, Marcus said, would you like to help me and Derek build something special for Luna? What kind of something? A place where children who are hurt or sick can come to learn about space, Derek explained. a place with rockets and planets and stars, a place where kids can dream about flying to the moon while they get better. Nathan's face broke into a huge grin. Can I help design the rockets? Marcus laughed. I think Luna would love that. Nathan's mother, Linda, had tears in her eyes. This is incredible. When Nathan was unconscious after his accident, I prayed that if he survived, he would grow up to help other children somehow. Derek pulled out his journal. Mrs. Chen, Marcus, and I write letters to Luna every day. We tell her about children like Nathan who love space and want to help people. Would it be okay if we wrote about Nathan? Linda nodded. I think that would be beautiful. Derek opened the journal to the page he and Marcus had started that morning. He read aloud what Marcus had written. Dear Luna, today your daddy and Derek flew together to help save a little boy's life. We think you would be proud. Derek picked up his pen and continued writing. The little boy's name is Nathan Chen. Loves space just like you did. He wants to be an astronaut and help people on Mars. When we told him about you, he said your name was beautiful. He wanted to make sure you could feel him holding the rocket we made for you. Marcus added, Luna, we think you brought us to Nathan for a reason. Maybe to show us that your dreams are still coming true in other children. Maybe to show us that families can heal and hope can grow from the saddest places. Derek wrote the final lines. We're going to build the Luna Chen Center for Children's Dreams. And Nathan is going to help us design the rockets. We think you would love that. We think you would love Nathan too. Marcus closed the journal and looked around the hospital room. Nathan was showing his parents how the rocket worked, making flying sounds as he moved it through the air. Derek was smiling as he watched the little boy play. Dr. Vasquez was checking Nathan's bandages and declaring him a perfect patient. For the first time in 5 years, Marcus felt complete peace. Luna's death had been terrible and unfair and heartbreaking, but it had also created something beautiful. Derek's transformation, the hundreds of children who had been helped, the center they were going to build, Nathan's saved life. Derek, Marcus said quietly, I want to ask you something. What? What do you think Luna would say if she could see us right now? Derek thought for a moment. I think she would say her dreams came true after all. Not the way she expected, but in a better way than she ever imagined. Marcus nodded. I think she would say that some journeys end not where we expected to land, but exactly where we needed to be. As they prepared to leave the hospital, Nathan called out to them, Mr. Marcus, Mr. Derek. They turned around. Nathan was holding his golden rocket high in the air. When I go to Mars someday, I'm going to take Luna's rocket with me. That way, she'll finally get to fly to space like she always wanted. Marcus felt his heart fill with more love than he thought possible. Nathan, I think that's exactly what Luna would want. Outside the hospital, as the sun set over the Rocky Mountains, Marcus and Derek walked toward their plane. Tomorrow, they would fly back to Austin and begin planning the Luna Chen Center for Children's Dreams. Tomorrow, they would start the chapter of their journey together, but tonight, they were exactly where they needed to be, in a place where dreams came true, where healing was possible, and where a little girl's love of space continued to light the way for other children reaching for the stars. Some journeys end not where we expected to land, but exactly where we needed to be. Marcus and Derek's story shows us that healing can come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes the person we think is our enemy might actually be the one keeping our loved one's memory alive. We'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment and tell us your city or country. It's amazing how stories like this connect hearts all around the world. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. When we share stories about forgiveness, second chances, and finding hope in dark places, we help spread a little more kindness in the world. And the world needs more kindness, doesn't it? There's another incredible story waiting for you, right? Now just click on the video appearing on your screen. It's about a teacher who discovered something shocking about her student that changed both their lives forever. Thank you for listening, and remember, some journeys end not where we expected to land, but exactly where we needed to be.